Continue dealing with light to moderate downpours at times. We've even seen some thunder embedded within Storm Tracker 2 radar. I'm going to put it in motion over the last hour, and you can see everything drifting its way off towards the east. The warmer the color, like yellow, orange, especially red, that's going to be indicating a heavier downpour. So right now, here in the Houston metro, you can see we had a big swath move through that's now impacting Channelview. Currently, just light rainfall, but look at what's coming. Sugar Land down through Rosenberg. Those warmer colors, that's indicating more moderate downpours. Through the day today, we're going to continue to see this pattern. Off and on, light to moderate rain showers. At times, we're even going to have the possibility of a few thunderstorms. Closer to the coast, you can see those scattered showers rolling their way through, slightly more isolated. Certainly areas north of I-10 seeing more widespread downpours and even dealing with some thunderstorms out near Brenham. You can see 290 completely soaked Brenham, seeing rounds of downpours. You'll notice out towards Giddings, Lee County, that's where we've got flood advisories. So far, no flood advisories, but certainly not out of the question that we can see some flooded roadways. Certainly roads are going to be wet out there. In fact, take a look at the Katy Freeway. We've got moderate downpours moving through. In fact, this is where we find our own meteorologist Brittany Begley. She's been on the roads all morning.
About that pickup, the school pickup line.
It's gonna be wet out there. I mean, hopefully the kiddos are waiting inside, because through the rest of the day, it'll inch and a quarter. And because the accumulations so far haven't been too high, we've actually been pretty manageable when it comes to our street flooding threat. And it doesn't take much for these to quickly deteriorate, which is why through the day today, we are keeping an extremely close eye on our radar. If we put this in motion over the last hour, you can see everything drifting its way slowly to the east as we see light rainfall for most of us. Inside of it, there's pockets of heavier downpours, especially for our friends out in Sugar Land, Fort Bend County. This is where you've got a heavier downpour approaching Missouri City here pretty soon. Then it's going to be pushing through our station out in Sharpstown as well. And that off and on steady rainfall, that's what we're going to see through the rest of the day today. Continuing up to the north, you can see Brenham through College Station, Huntsville. The further north you go, the more widespread it is. For our friends closer to the coast, that's where we're having larger breaks from the rainfall. But no, if it keeps continuing to come down, that's when we can start seeing problems with flooding, like what they have out there in Georgetown, north of Round Rock. That's a flood warning through the next 35 minutes, because they've seen over 5.5 inches of rain. So Future Track is going to show those showers staying with us as we head through the afternoon pickup, even that evening commute. I'm not expecting it as widespread, but showers and thunderstorms still going to be possible. We've already seen it through the day today. This will make roads a mess. So plan on extra time for driving and pack your patience, because flooded roadways not out of the question. Once we get towards 9 p.m. after sunset tonight, we're going to see conditions dry out slightly, but then into Wednesday, more showers and storms possible. I'm not expecting that morning commute to be as bad as this morning. However, by 9 a.m., we will see pop-up showers and storms. If that's where you are, can feel a bit heavy. Through the day on Wednesday, we'll start to see thunderstorms pop up, especially Wednesday afternoon. I think Wednesday, the afternoon commute is going to have a bigger impact compared to the morning commute. That's going to really ramp up from 2 p.m. through 8 p.m. in the evening before we quiet down as we head into Thursday. In fact, just been light to moderate rain showers. That is certainly good news, because accumulations through the day today, even though it's been for most of the day, we've only seen about 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 inch of rain. You can see right now the majority of our area just seeing light rain showers, but we do have one heavier downpour that's impacting 288 between Manville and Danbury. Now I'm going to put our radar in motion over the last hour so you can see the way these showers are moving. You'll notice they're pushing their way from the west to the east, in areas south of I-10, much more isolated in nature. This is where we've been seeing longer breaks, but from Houston and Sugar Land to the north, this is where it's been a more constant, steady downpour. You can see just south of Sugar Land dealing with those showers. Here in Houston, at times it's light, but when you have that warmer color, that yellow to the orange, that's going to be a more moderate to heavy downpour. This is why Our roads are certainly soggy out there, up to 90. Brenham and Washington County continuing to see that soaking rainfall. You'll notice across Liberty County also seeing the soaking rain. Now, because this has been that light to moderate rainfall through the day today, so far we haven't had any problems with street flooding. In fact, we've partnered with the Harris County Flood Warning District, and you can see right now all of our rain gauges looking good. They're in the green, but Joel, we are not in the clear just yet. I've got more on our flood risk for tomorrow coming up.
Problems for them.
Problems for them. Thankfully, we're not seeing as much in terms of flooded roadways, but wet, light to moderate, which is why accumulations half an inch for most. You'll notice areas to the west of I-45. That's where we've seen an inch and a half. Brenham, Katy, Sugar Land picking up over an inch, nearly an inch out in El Campo. And then as we go through the rest of the day today, we're going to pick up another quarter to a half an inch of rain. That means not expecting any widespread flooding, but do know isolated streets, we could run into some problems here. Storm Tracker 2 radar. If we put this in motion over the last hour, you see everything drifting its way off towards the east. A few heavier pockets out there, including this pocket between Brazoria moving into Galveston County. A few showers pushing into Houston as well and out towards Brenham. But it's not a total washout. At times it's going to be dry, but for the most part, we are going to be staying soggy from now through the rest of the day today. Let me show you our future track. You'll notice areas, especially north of I-10. That's where we have a higher likelihood of seeing those heavy downpours. By 6 o'clock, still expecting it to be fairly active out there. It's not until we get after 8 p.m. that we'll start to see things quieting down. In fact, through the overnight hours, only a 20% chance of an isolated shower. It's not until we get to about 7, 8 a.m. tomorrow that we'll start to see rain chances really picking up again. In fact, most of our activity tomorrow is going to start to ramp up closer towards the heat of the day, and it's not equal for everybody. Your highest chances of seeing storms tomorrow are going to be for locations east of I-45, really from 2 p.m. through 8 p.m. That means the afternoon and evening commute likely going to be a mess for Wednesday night. That's lasting until about 8 p.m. until we finally quiet out. And then we're going to be dry for the rest of the day on Thursday. So our allergy report is showing nothing has been too heavy because of this accumulations, primarily a quarter of an inch to about a half an inch of rainfall. A closer look is going to show you Galveston up through Houston, Katy, Brenham. That's where we have the most heavy rain, but most of it light to moderate. You can see some orange and yellow colors. That's going to be where we have heavier downpours. Now, as we go through the rest of the day today, we're going to continue to see showers pushing through the area. At times, it can feel a little intense, but it's not a total washout. In fact, once we get to 8 p.m. this evening, we're expecting conditions to begin to clear out. In fact, through the overnight hours, only a 20 to 30% chance of seeing those downpours. Wednesday, once again, we have a flood threat, and that's going to come primarily in the afternoon. You can see noon tomorrow, pop-up showers and storms. Once we get after 2 o'clock, this is when we're expecting the possibility of some pretty hefty thunderstorms and downpours, especially for locations east of I-45. This will be possible through the afternoon and evening commute tomorrow. So for the day today, plan on extra time for driving. Same with the day tomorrow. In fact, roads are wet out there. We've got our own Devin Clark out on the bar. We have been good. We've been checking those rain gauges. Right now, not seeing any major problems, but it is something we're going to keep track of, especially because at this point, our soils are becoming extremely saturated. So Storm Tracker 2 radar, if we put this in motion over the last hour, you can see everything drifting off towards the east. A closer look is going to show you south of I-10. We've got some of those showers pushing on shore so far. Just really showers. We've seen an isolated lightning strike here or there, but for the most part, today is light to moderate downpours. You can see as we approach the Houston area, it has just been soaking rain inside the loop, and we've got a shower pushing its way from Meadows Place up towards Bel Air and Sharpstown right here at the station. That's going to bring some pretty moderate to heavy downpours. Continuing up to the northwest, you can see Jersey Village out towards Katy, Brenham, Hempstead, another swath of rain showers, and this is what we can expect as we go through the next several hours. Not a total washout, but we're going to continue to see wet roads, which means that evening commute is going to be messy. Now, once we get to 8 p.m., I think we're going to decrease to about a 20% chance of just an isolated light rain shower, which means for our Wednesday morning commute, most of us are in the clear. It's not going to be until 9 a.m. that we'll start to see more isolated showers and storms. And then as we head into the afternoon, rain chances ramp up, especially for locations to the east of I-45. 3 o'clock, you can see thunderstorms starting to erupt in the afternoon. These can bring with them frequent lightning strikes, but also the possibility of quick street flooding, similar to what we saw on Saturday. By 6 o'clock on Wednesday, this is showing a messy commute inside the loop here in Houston, certainly possible. You want to plan on extra time for driving and keep that umbrella handy as we head Wednesday night. Now, by 9 o'clock on Wednesday, everything tapers off, and then we start to dry out, leaving us dry for the day on Thursday. But before then, we do have that flood risk on Wednesday. You can see it's mainly going to be for areas east of I-45. Now, once we get past Wednesday, we don't have